All right, we're back again with another episode of Roofer Reflections. Really excited to have Chris here. Chris, thank you for coming on the show.
No, thank you so much. It's a pleasure to be here.
You love the roofing industry. You've been in for a while. What were you thinking early on in your early days on what you wanted to do?
I had my own company many years ago. It was in home inspections. It's not relevant, but it does pertain to my desire to help customers in whatever the industry is. And I had a buddy of mine about 15 years ago that had been telling me, Chris, you got to come into the roofing industry. We need you. And, for my reaction is, roofing? Like, what? I grew up in an HVAC family. Like, what do I know about roofing other than we used to destroy it all the time and get in trouble for it?
What did your family think about when you first crossed over into roofing?
So my father thought I was crazy. He was raised in an HVAC family out of New York, and completely different animal. And they had to deal with roofers on a regular basis, but at no point did he ever think that anyone associated with the family or him would ever want to get into roofing. It's almost like they almost saw that as kind of a punishment. I told my dad, and he knew this early on, HVAC wasn't for me. And then this buddy came calling, and I thought he was nuts. And I was on the tail end of shutting down my own home inspection business, and I was looking to get into something else. And he said, you got to try roofing. Just give me a chance. This is what we got. This is what we do. Just give me 6 months. So I wrapped up everything I was doing, and I put all my focus into learning about commercial roofing. And slowly but surely, I started to realize that there was an opportunity to really, truly solve problems. You get on a building, people have issues, and they don't necessarily know what they are. And you have to help them diagnose the issues. You have to help them come up with solutions. You have to give them a short-term, mid-term, long-term, give them outlooks, give them specification ideas. And this is where my career really started going in a bunch of different directions. I did service. I was hands-on service. I worked in production crews. I started to learn all the different aspects of roofing and what parts. First of all, you never stop learning, right? I've met a lot of experts, but the favorite ones I've ever met are the ones that know that every time you get on a roof, don't be afraid to learn something new. And that's the core aspect of roofing that really drew me in, is that you're getting on different roofs, you have different tenants, you have different business uses, you have different building styles, you are getting on a building from the 60s, the 70s, the 1920s, 2000s, and the construction changes, the materials change, the environments in which they build these buildings and how they build them change. And it all comes together in this beautiful symphony of what is the best roofing solution for that location. And it's rarely the same thing, the same exact thing twice. There are different nuances and changes and innovations and adaptations to cure the issues of older generations that had to do it a different way. I want to stress that they did it a different way. They didn't necessarily do it wrong. They did it in the availability of the technology that they had at the time. I have become a forever student of roofing. I am never, at my age now, I'm a little older, I'm not trying to dunk anymore. And I'm at this stage where I am never afraid to say, I'm not quite sure what that is or how to do that. Well, what do you think? And I have learned more by asking for help than I ever did trying to pretend that I knew what I was doing in every room I walked into. And it's been a fantastic journey. I love every day. I was on a roof this morning.
Walk me through the different areas and, maybe a few things you learned from being on different sides of the roofing industry.
That's a really great question because there is a natural progression in my industry to go from, let's just say, wrenching, right? Doing the work, getting your hands dirty and actually doing the work, to where's the progression going to go? And I had a very interesting journey. I started with the biggest roofing contractor in the country at the time. They flip-flop back and forth. I started doing everything on the roof, and then I got an opportunity to work for a manufacturer that fascinated me. And they happened to make a product that I really believed in. Maybe not necessarily their individual one, but the product that was industry known. It fascinated me because it was some of the best in the industry, and I wanted to learn more, and I wanted to sell it. So I got into the manufacturing side after about 4 or 5 years being on the contracting side. Not quite as large, but a smaller regional opportunity came up with a contractor that I would have my own territory and kind of autonomy. There's one thing you'll learn about my history. If I feel like I'm going to get stuck in this mud for a while, I'm going to crawl out. I'm going to crawl out and I'm going to do something else. I'm not just going to sit there and turn and turn and turn. until you burn out and then you don't want to be in roofing anymore. That's not me. And that was something I couldn't pass up. I did that for several years. Then had another opportunity to go to a side of the manufacturing industry in roofing that I never even thought of. COVID kind of slowed that down significantly. I used my network. I wound up working back on the contracting side. That led me to run operations for a local roofer in my backyard for quite a while. And I learned some really, really valuable lessons during that time. I had come all the way, right, from the roof to the technical specification aspect, to the drawing aspect, to service sales, to all the way up to running operations for a small roofer. And I had realized that you can't control everything you wish you could control. And there's sometimes when you may actually be in over your head, and that may not be because you don't know what you're doing or because you're not willing to learn. It may be because there are other forces at work, albeit maybe ownership, right, that don't have the same vision. And that's okay.